Okay, now that we have a style, some styles created, a edges only style and a texture style, and we have a scene created, in this case my perspective view scene, we are ready to export our SketchUp model and get it ready to import into Photoshop. So I'm going to start by collapsing my default tray here, or hiding it. And first we're going to start with, I'll open it again here, and go to the edges style. I'm going to collapse again. And now only my line work in my model is visible. And from here, we're going to export this scene. I'll go up to File, Export, 2D Graphic, and we're going to find a location. This is in my, I'll create a new folder here, and I'll call this Exported Images. And I'm going to call this Edges Perspective. If I can spell perspective. I'm going to check my options, and I want to make sure, I'll uncheck this U view size, and I want to make sure that my width is at least 5,000 pixels. I want this to be a big file. And I want to make sure that anti-alias is checked, and I want to make sure that the slider is all the way at better quality on my JPEG compression. I'll hit OK, and I will export the file. Now we're going to do the same thing, but with textures only. So I'll click on my perspective view. I'll go over to my default tray, and I'll click on textures, and I'm ready to export. File, Export, 2D Graphic, and this time I'm going to call it, I'm going to change this from edges to textures. I'll check my options just to double check that the width is 5,000. Anti-alias is, actually anti-alias should be unchecked, and JPEG compression is at better quality. I'll hit OK and export. And then the last thing we want to do, again I'll go to my perspective view here, the last thing we want to do is to show shadows, and we want to export shadows. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my edges style, and I'll just click over on the edit tab, and I'll unselect edges, and I'll unselect profiles. And this is from the first button here, the edge settings. I want to make sure that edges and profiles are unchecked. And what I have is just a pure white screen. But from here, I can go to shadows and click the show hide shadows button. And now I have only my shadows visible. And from here, File, Export, 2D Graphic, and this time we'll call it Shadows. Double check my options, 5,000 pixels, anti-alias unchecked, better quality JPEG compression, and export. And now I'm ready to import those three images into Photoshop.